Big report today, and I want to make sure I read this out word for word.
Big up the biggest club in London, Arsenal. Let's go, Terry. Go on. Now we're talking
You
serious
love
club.
trolling Chelsea fans, you do, don't you? It's stated by, I want to get his name right, by Simon Phillips, who is, fairly well connected. Chelsea fans find him to be credible. It says that Arsenal are seriously interested in signing Eze. Pretty much every top club in Europe is looking and considering the player, including Chelsea and Liverpool, but it's Arsenal who are pushing the most for Eze right now. Now, that's come from Simon Phillips, who is predominantly a Chelsea connect, and he's very credible when it comes to Chelsea. But I think he's obviously talking about it from a Chelsea perspective, but he's probably been asked a question around how are we getting on, and he's mentioned Arsenal. So he's been given that information, and we know that Arsenal are linked to Nico Williams at the minute. We know that they're linked to Eucharist and some strikers. And I do see certain Arsenal fans online tweeting all the time, we ain't getting no one, we're working on no one, the media's making it up. And I do feel sorry for them. I just think, firstly, I worry about your personal life, how sad you must be. Well, of course, you're looking at multiple options because you might not get Eze, you might not get Nico Williams. But imagine only looking at one player, you don't get them, and then you're left flat-footed and you can't buy no one else. But Eze, he hasn't really featured much for England, but he's been a superb talent. How good a business do you think that would be, Hussam? Or do you think they should go and get Nico Williams? Because I don't see them buying both personally, but if they were to go for one of those two, which one do you think they should be investing in?
Listen, this is Arsenal moving in the right direction if they sign Eze. I think Eze is definitely a difference maker. He would definitely make a difference for Arsenal. I think he's the type of guy. It will be interesting, actually, whether they play him left or play him in the 8. I think that's the real option, that kind of the dilemma that Arteta has, because he could go Rice, Eze, and Odegaard, and he could also go Rice, whoever, Odegaard, and then play Eze on the left. I think Eze is very good. He's a fantastic signing for Arsenal. Attractive club, most attractive club in London. If I'm a football player right now, I'd love to go to play to Arsenal. It's just incredible right now, the manager over there, the stability that they have. They don't have an ownership that changes the manager every 3 minutes. There's continuity. You will get chances. You'll get opportunities to thrive. I think Eze would absolutely ball out at Arsenal. I mean, Arteta has shown the ability to consistently improve players. Declan Rice improved this season. Gabriel, who was looked at as a mockery, is now looked at as one of the best centre-backs in the league. Same thing with Saliba. Wasn't a mockery, but he obviously has improved him. He improved, a lot of players at Arsenal. I expect Arsenal to challenge for the league next season. I expect them to really cook next season. And, in order for them to cook, to be honest with you, they need to make signings like these. I think now, one thing we can learn lessons from the past is this is something kind of Man United used to do, which is kind of just sign the talented players from the league itself. Sometimes helps propel you to that level in the league ahead of signing someone from a different club or etc. Unless Arsenal want Kimmich as an example, that one no Arsenal fan or any of us will go like that's a bad signing. That's a elite signing. So for me, I think Arsenal need to aim in that bracket. Someone who's just kind of like a level above, a level below world class, that's ready to make the next move to world class. So yeah, I think Arsenal will be very dangerous next season, but they need to sign someone who could put the ball in the back of the net. And actually heard Henry Wright's argument on the Top 6 show, where he was saying they scored a whole lot of goals. Maybe they need the goals from midfield. Maybe they need goals from elsewhere. And to be honest, that's a valid point. Maybe Eze could score those 15 goals that Arsenal need. Get those 15 assists that Arsenal need. So I expect Arsenal to be dangerous next season. They need to be a bit more serious in the transfer window. It's funny, we spoke on Isaac. Isaac would be exactly what the doctor ordered for Arsenal, in my opinion. And, he should call Arsenal and try and make the move to them. But yeah, I think Eze will be a fantastic signing. But here's the thing, Eze cannot alone be the signing, because I look at this summer for Arsenal, and this reminds me of ourselves when we signed Alisson and Van Dijk. You kind of need that level player right now. And do I put Eze in that bracket? Probably a bracket below, but you need someone to get Arsenal to that next level. And those are the level of signings that they need, Terry. That's why, Terry, at the start of the window, people thinking, oh my God, Hussam works for Arsenal. At the start of the window, when you asked me Zubimendi, I said, no, that wouldn't be a good signing for Arsenal at all. Me and you had an argument about it. I said, listen, I don't like signings like this because Arsenal don't need that right now. But when you tell me Eze, that's immediate improvement straight away, knows the league, knows the teams, knows all of that. So yeah, I think Arsenal will be dangerous next season. But they need to get these over the line, though, because it cannot just be linked and linked and linked and linked. And if I'm in Eze's place, and this is another thing, I know Spurs really want him, you know, and I know a lot of clubs really want him. I'm not trying to, if I'm Eze, if I'm Olise, if I'm any of these players, Isaac, respectfully, I'm not trying to move to any of these clubs. I'm trying to move to Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Bayern, you know, Real Madrid, Barcelona. I'm trying to move to the best of the best. It's just how it goes, bro. Like, I'm not trying to, why should Eze go to Spurs, fucking ruin his career? Go to Arsenal. It's a lot better.
Why you're simping to Arsenal fan that much, bro? Like, it's so
How am I
bad. You're, not,
simping?
you're a Liverpool fan, bro.
Don't use
Anyway.
buzzwords. Tell me what thing I said.
Seriously. Oh
No, I'm
my
gonna
God.
keep interrupting you until you tell me what I said.
You shouldn't. Are you gonna keep interrupting me and not
Yes.
let me talk?
What did I say that's simple?
No, Arsenal are doing good.
Because you're behaving like Maradona in the chat.
Oh my God. Habibi, just let
Go
us
ahead.
talk, Habibi. You spoke
Go
for
ahead.
like 3 minutes and added nothing. You said Arsenal are good and everything, and you added nothing to the conversation.
So he asked me,
It's
what do you think
okay.
of the Eze signing?
o-
I think
it's
it's
okay.
fantastic from the
Habibi,
player
it's
side.
okay.
I think it's
خلاص.
fantastic from the club
Hassan,
side. They need
خلاص.
more signings like this.
Should
and
we
Arsenal will
leave?
be
Should
paying
we
for
leave
next
that?
season.
Should we?
Don't
This
said nothing.
Arsenal section is Sam's section now. Are you a Liverpool fan or an Arsenal
We
fan?
had an
Now?
Inter Milan
Are you
section.
Liverpool? Are you a
After
Liverpool fan or
audience
an
will
Arsenal
disappear.
fan now? Are you a
Stop
Liverpool fan or Arsenal
Stop
fan now?
waffling. Stop waffling.
Are you an?
Okay,
Can
خلاص.
I just answer?
Saying Eze would be a horrible signing. Apparently, this what Mo wants. Eze would be a horrible signing. He's crap, and he shouldn't move to Arsenal.
Well,
They're
like,
shit.
I actually,
Happy now,
if
Mo?
Eze is gonna go to Arsenal and start, yes. Does Eze
the
go to
fuck,
Arsenal?
Bozo?
Does Eze go to Arsenal and start?
Of course he does.
If they have Thomas Partey, Rice, and Odegaard, does he start?
Of course he starts. He either starts in the 8 or on the left wing. Stop waffling.
He's not a
bro.
left wing. He's not a left wing. I like Eze. I like how he plays football. I think he's a top talent.
Is
But he's not
Maddison still
guaranteed
better
the
than
start.
Odegaard,
But
though?
he's not guaranteed the start at Arsenal. Why would he go to Arsenal and sit on the bench? Because they have Trossard, they have Martinelli, they have still Thomas Partey.
Hang on.
So you think
But
Eze
then,
would sit on the
hang on. But then, why does anybody, unless you are get Mbappe going to Real Madrid, then why would Camavinga and Tchouaméni have signed for Real Madrid? They weren't guaranteed to
They're
get into the first
youngsters.
team at that point.
Oh, they
Why
were
did
20 years
Savio
old.
sign for City?
They were 20 years old. There's a difference. There's 20
Okay,
years old.
I understand that,
There's
but
a
I think
difference.
but I think the logic remains the same. This is what you want. You want someone that maybe isn't guaranteed a first team place to go, I want to come in there and prove I'm a first teamer. That is what makes a squad and team better.
Thank you.
100%.
If you sign players who are like, I'm happy just to be on the bench, you ain't progressing. Because I think Arsenal have a number of players at the moment that are really happy to earn 50, 60, 70, 80K a week sitting on that bench when they're very rarely called upon. They need someone that's going to come in there and rock the apple cart professionally and say, well, I know I'm gonna listen. I know Arsenal fans, some are still a little bit attached to their players. If Eze comes in and benches Odegaard and is better than Odegaard and they become a better team, trust me, proper Arsenal fans won't care. There'll be a few agenda merchants that will push agendas, but it shouldn't matter. Eze makes Arsenal's first 11 better. He makes their squad better. They're going to play 50 to 60 games this forthcoming season. Of course he could go there. And when you consider the other team that are pushing for him quite hard has been Spurs, and the reason why I believe there's some validity to this story, that just some validity, doesn't mean it's nearly done, doesn't mean it's close, but some validity, is Spurs' press, as in the Alistair Golds, have all been saying in the last week, according to Henry Wright, he told me, he reads it all, that Spurs are looking elsewhere and Spurs have called their interest. And that is generally sort of the transfer slang for fuck. We ain't going to get him over this club.
We got rejected.
We've got to lay the PR now so we can move on to somebody else. And listen, I think he'd be a phenomenal signing. Like, I like Nico. The thing is, I'm a little biased because I like what I've seen of Nico Williams at the Euros, but I have only watched him play at the Euros and a couple of other games. I haven't watched enough of him to have as rounded an opinion. However, they both do play different positions. Eze can play on the left, play on the left, but he's predominantly a more central player. So I think that it's interesting what Arsenal are doing, but I like what they're doing. I like that because they're in a position to do it. Not every, and this is why I've had many an argument on Straight Facts.
Are you going to say Terry's simping as well, Mo?
Well, you may look at it this way. Me and Lee Gunner have had this argument before many times, and I understand.
So it's not new. It's
I'm just being honest.
The whole season. Okay.
Everyone's used to it. Me and Lee Gunner had these arguments. I don't know if you boys remembered where it was sort of like Lee would typically judge every club through the same lens, and I understand there's logic to that and there's validity to it. My sense is that you can't judge Arsenal summer versus Man United summer purely on the types of people we both sign, because their clubs are in different scenarios, situations, and in different places right now. So you have to apply context. Arsenal are in a position where they're going, right, if we can't get a number one striker, we'll go for maybe our number one target on the wings. Can't get a number one target on the wings, we'll go for a number one target to bolster our attacking midfield area. And it may not be that they sign each of those positions, but they're going for number one targets that improve specific areas that they want to improve. And that's a really, really comfortable place to be in as a football club. And look, they've got to land some names. But I think names and people like Eze's, like Williams, like Gyökeres's, I think if they sign players like this, and by the way, a lot of these players are not even that expensive. You could actually, I mean, you could sign both. Spitball in here, but you could sign both. Both are available for about £50 million. £100 million, £100 million on Nico Williams and Eze. Surely that is phenomenal business.
Yeah, it's great. It looks great on the table. I think actually they need to sign a striker as well. I still think Arsenal need a striker.
I don't think they do with those two. I don't think they do if they sign those two.
You think Kai Havertz is good enough for them to lead? That's I never think that, and I'm not gonna sit here and think that. I think it's too much risk to rely on Kai Havertz as the main striker next season. Even if they sign Eze, I still think they need a striker. There is Antonio Conte said that Osimhen already agreed to leave. They need to go and get Osimhen, maybe get that Mikel Moreno guy, the 29 years old or 28 years old.
No, they don't need to get Osimhen. What's wrong with him, Mo? It doesn't fit the way they play at all.
Okay, we're going to talk about the way they play.
Hold
on. I still think they need. It doesn't have to be Osimhen. They might need a striker. And if Isak is available for 150 million, go and get Isak for me. I think Isak improved
now we agree.
massively.
So I think I understand that.
And I get what you're saying, Terry, improving the midfield and improving the wing. But until I see Thomas Partey out of the door, because I believe if Thomas Partey stays and he stays fit, which is a big risk, I believe actually that midfield, right, is good enough. The Thomas Partey.
But Mo, that's where the problem lies.
Hold on,
he stays fit.
Yes, let me just finish this point. Eze, for me, is going to be a superstar if he signs for a top club. He's going to be a superstar. But will Arteta play him over Rice, Odegaard, and Thomas Partey if they're fit? No. He's going to get other games. They're going to play 50, 60 games, yes. But he's going to play other games.
I think
I want the money to be used. If they have the money for the three, that's completely fine. Like last summer, 200 million for Timber, Havertz, whatever. But I believe the priority should be in the forward line, in my opinion.
I understand. I do understand that logic. And I think it holds water, it holds validity. I think they just need this phrase gets thrown around a lot now, but I think they need players that can change games. Now, that could be a striker in a game where they're not really getting very many chances, the big Champions League not game, and there's that half a sniff, and a player puts it into put it into the back of the net, boom, goal, great, that's brilliant. But like you said, Eze could come in and be a superstar. If Nico Williams keeps improving over the next couple of years, he could be a superstar. If you throw them in what they've already got, I believe they therefore then have enough talent to also achieve those same clutch moments. It just may not be from an out-and-out number 9. But I do hear where you're... I mean, when you look at those three players, Arsenal have had some summers recently where they spent 9 on 200 million. If it's really true that Eze is available for 50 to 60, people are sending it through to me now in a DM, about 45 million for Williams. So you're looking at 100 mil there. Could they spend 200 million, 210 million and get all three?
They win the league.
I mean, this is when you actually start to deep it. When you start to deep it, if Arsenal were able to raise, they could probably raise 100 million in sales this summer. They could probably raise 100 million in sales. Therefore, I mean, I don't do net spend because I don't like the phrase. I don't like how it represents. But you raise 100 million through sales, there should be no reason. And this is what I would say, Arsenal having standards, there should be no reason why you don't try and go out and buy all three or players of that ilk. Because again, we're just naming them. If you could do that, I mean, that for a club like them, in the position they're in, you then have depth, you improve your first team, the level of goals you would then have in your side from a creative and putting it into the back of the net. And suddenly what it also does, you get the Martinellis and the Sakas going, oh, Jesus. I got to up my game. Odegaard, I got to up my game. So for me, looking at the prices there, mean, that could represent some fantastic business.